is Hammerjack, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. And don't forget, you can't turn your back on Hammerjack.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. I'm Dean Hill, see you at ringside.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. This is the podcast where these three knuckleheads, me and knucklehead number two, Professor Knucklehead, and you know what? Here's the funny thing: we call you the professor. But Jared's the only one that actually went to like finishing school or college of some sort and got any kind of he's got a PhD. What the hell? What did you end up? What do you have to get to be a pharmacist, Jared?
I have a doctorate in pharmacy.
You have a doctorate? You're Dr. Jared Street?
Yeah, I can make you call me Dr. Jared Street.
Oh hell, okay.
I don't abuse that though, so I don't like people to call me doctor. Like, I feel like a lot of people in the education field, if they're a doctor, abuse that. I don't know.
How many years of school did you go to get your doctorate in drugs? Drug doctorate.
You can go in as little as like 6 or 5 if you're like really at it. I went 7.
Yeah. Well, that's doctor. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so on this episode, we have a very special guest with us. We have Hammerjack, and we're going to be talking to him in just a little bit. But before we do that,
Hammerjack.
Hey, what? Who?
Oh, sorry, Hammerjack.
So before we do that, though, we are going to talk a little bit about some of the past episodes that we have had recently, and I will toot my own horn and say we had some pretty good success with these last couple episodes.
Toot, baby. Yeah.
We've been in the
decent success.
It's been decent. We've been in the last episode was in the top 100 on Apple iTunes for all wrestling podcasts. Yeah. Pretty awesome. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I guess our watch alongs pretty cool. I guess people seem to like them. I don't know. But anyway, we did the tag team extravaganza watch. What is that, Dr. Jared Sheik?
High C Orange.
High C Orange.
In that video, it looked like you had a sample. I wasn't sure what that was, bro.
It's killing me.
All right. So Jared's drinking High C Orange, and me and the professor are drinking malt beverages of some sort here. So let's talk a little bit about the Tag Team Extravaganza episode that we just had. It was a watch along. I had a lot of fun with it. We talked about how pretty much everyone in that episode, all the workers were probably, if not should be, Hall of Famers, top-notch workers, with the exception of maybe a couple. Yeah. But everyone seemed to pretty much like that episode. We want to hear from you, though. We want you guys to give us feedback, either email or tweet back at us or Facebook group. Let us know some of your favorite tag matches, some of your favorite tag teams, and call us morons for not mentioning, that particular match if you want to. And let's get that interaction going with that. Jimmy, do you have anything to add for the Tag Team Extravaganza episode?
I mean, yeah, we had great numbers on that for sure. Happy, we did a watch along for Body Slam, and that's actually our number 2 episode of all time, which was number 3 now, because Tracy's Greatest Music, and then Mike Jablonski lost the title. But we'll get into other titles that Mike Jablonski won. So
what?
Yeah, but before we get there, we had Steve Rosenthal on, which, by the way, the other day, Powertown Wrestling they tweeted and put that on Instagram, and they actually worked our podcast symbol into the advertisement.
The logo, Thank you for that, guys. Yeah, that was
totally
awesome.
Kayla and the crew at Powertown Wrestling, thank you all so much. She's been a wonderful person to work with, very understanding and very working with us, because we worked really hard to get Steve on. And then, we couldn't get Dan on the show with us, but when we finally could get Steve, we had to go with it. So that's maybe why it didn't all work out. But long story short, we were happy to do that. Then we had the tag team extravaganza watch along with, 13, 15, however many people were in those rings, just some of the best tag team wrestling you'll ever see. Again, if you want us to watch other matches, like Dan said, send it in. Let us know. We've got a million different Facebook, Twitter, Instagrams at GMBMPW, or, like some other podcasts we know, GMBMPW@gmail.com. You can always send us email if you want. But anyway, with that being said, we had a great week. Like Dan said, we were in the 90s, which I think is the highest we've ever been.
I think so. Yeah.
Man,
not that we pay attention to that stuff. We actually do.
We definitely do. Just being honest. But that's how we learn and grow, So yeah, Mike Jablonski lost the title for Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling's podcast. Obviously, he'll come back on and probably win the title again. But Mike won tag titles the other night. And what a cool thing to see our boy win some tag straps,
It's awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations, Mike, and the entire Bad Omens team on winning those tag titles. We will have you back on the show eventually, and you can talk about that a little bit and talk about some of the rehab journey and stuff that you had to go on there because you had a bad wheel for a while, and we're just touch base with you. Also, just for those of you that were on our Facebook last Wednesday, you could see that I got to see some live pro wrestling at
wrestling.
Well, some of it was wrestling for sure.
It's wrestling above the Mason-Dixon. Well, where you are, it's wrestling. Either way.
But there was some wrestling too. So I got to go to AEW Dynamite last Wednesday here in Columbus, Ohio. They taped the dark elevation type matches beforehand. Some of those they put on last Thursday. Some hit this Monday. And then, of course, Dynamite. But I'll tell you what, for those of you who, obviously everyone knows I'm kind of an AEW mark, but for those of you that have,
you don't say.
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
Well, first of all, you guys will be happy to know that I didn't get to see Danhausen or Punk at the show.
Were you super hoping that Punk would make some kind of appearance, just a small one?
No, I really didn't expect. I was blown away to see him this week. I didn't think his foot had healed enough to even do the work he did. So I wasn't expecting him at all. Now Danhausen, I knew he did a meet and greet with Ethan Page earlier in the day that Wednesday, so I did expect to see him, but didn't. But you know what? It doesn't matter because AEW really gives you a lot of bang for your buck, I think, because the doors opened at 6. At about 6:45 or so, Justin Roberts came out, started talking to everyone, and they did dark matches all the way up until about 5 till 8, 10 or 5 till 8.
Wow.
And then went live with Dynamite. And then after Dynamite, we had about 15 minutes of mocks and that kind of stuff going on in the ring, just goofing around with Claudio and stuff like that. So, they probably put on 8 matches in that hour of dark taping. So, I really think you got a lot of value for the
Sounds
money.
like it.
I thought they did a hell of a job. So if you guys get a chance to see AEW in the town, coming to a town near you, then check them out.
We would love to be, in Charlotte or in Lebanon, Virginia, or
I'll take Knoxville or Roanoke. So
no, Knoxville or Roanoke. There you go. Well, cool.
I really like the idea of live pro wrestling. So for those of you out there listening, if you get to see any pro wrestling live, I don't care what group it is, what fed it is, what, organization, where it's at, let us know. Get on the Facebook, give us a heads up, just give us a little bit of a kind of a match report, what you saw. If you want to take some video and send it to us or something like that, just do it, because that's one of the things about this show I want to promote is watching wrestling on TV is great. It's awesome. You don't stand in line to pee. It's not $4 for a really crappy pizza, but seeing them live, it's a different form of entertainment, seeing it live. It really is.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. One of the guys that I've seen quite a bit wrestle live in front of me is my good old buddy Hammerjack. And, obviously you read the name of the show is Hammerjack. So, this guy's been down the roads, man. From what I can count, he's been in the business. He's knocking on 30 years in the business. So, man, we're going to talk about so much with Hammerjack. I think this is going to be a really fun episode. If you guys enjoyed the Chris Michaels episode, or the Plunky episode, I think you'll enjoy the Hammerjack episode with us. So,
all right, well, let's take a quick break while Dr. Professor Sheik gets to see, you're a professor, you're a doctor, and I'm just a dipshit. Okay, so I think I would use the acronym DDP, but I think someone already did that. Let's take a break. You can go refill your High C orange. You and I can crack another cold one. When we come back, we're going to talk to Hammerjack.
This is Charlie with Give Me Back My Action Movies.
And Dan.
Join us every 2 weeks as we dive into the classic action movies of the 80s and 90s.
That's right, Charlie. But we also take a look at some of the current films out there that still has those nostalgic feels for us.
Exactly. So make sure you find us on all your major podcasting platforms.
And check us out over on Facebook. We have a group where the conversation's always going 24/7.
We're having a good time.
I think so.
I'll be back.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
All right, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. And we have a special guest. I told you we were going to have a special guest, and I wasn't full of crap this time. Jimmy, please, would you? Yeah, this time, exactly. You be quiet, peanut gallery. All right, so Jimmy, go ahead. Every other time I screw something. Anyway, let's have Jimmy introduce one of his real good pro wrestling friends, Hammerjack. Jimmy?
Yeah, you just said it, brother. Hammerjack, man. This guy right here is kind of like if you mixed. He is a legend and a good brother and a veteran, and he's also real. So he doesn't. Some of the guys are legends and veterans and good brothers, or they're not good brothers, but they're legends and veterans. But this dude is all of them, and it's kind of hard to get that combination in a person. Now, Hammer, I think the first time, and we're going to backtrack into your story, but I think the first time I ever met you was at a Saw show, and I had just been working for Mike Porter for literally nothing for my gas. I was paying my gas to get to that show, and TJ would go there, and I think either TJ would do it to scope maybe possible talent, or Kevin was on the show or something to that effect. And then he said, "Hey, if you ever want to come out to Millersville,
Kevin. I think you're talking about Kevin.
His son, Kevin Weatherby."
Oh, okay, right. Go ahead.
Yeah, TJ was there. I think he was probably watching Kevin perform most of the time at Porter's. But he said, "Hey, if you ever want to come out to Millersville, we'll get you booked on at Saw." And I'm like, yeah, of course I want to come out there. Are you kidding me?
You say it twice like that?
Yeah. Well, no, I was trying to imitate the Road Runner kind of running. Yeah. So long story short, that's how I met you. I don't know. Was I doing the Sheik gimmick when you met me, or
yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
No. It was right before you started that, I believe.
Okay. Because I Kroll made me drop it because we were going on TV and I wasn't dark enough to really portray a perfect Sheik for TV, but I was cool with that either way. But it was funny because I was working that gimmick and then I went to me, and that's when I met you. Then I picked the gimmick back up and then I dropped it again about a month later, but it's all good. Long story short. So that's how we met. But to start things off, Hammerjack, now I've dug the interwebs as much as I can possibly dig. So, okay, you were born in Baltimore.
Yes.
And how was your childhood, man? Talk about your young days, like as a kid. Not teenager. I'm talking about as a little kid.
Oh, no. What do you mean? As a little kid, that was hard.
Yeah.
It was a different time, man. You know, you could, your parents would kick you out of the house and say, don't come in until the sun goes down, or the street lights come on, or something like that. So that's exactly what I did, man. At a very, very young age, I was running all over Baltimore on a Liberty bike, you know, and then my parents would get phone calls saying, your son is all the way over here on this hotel. You know, what's he doing? He's going to get hurt, or something's going to happen to him. And then I'd go home and get my ass whooped, and the next day get kicked out of the house again. And then, you know, the same thing over and over and over. But there was a different time, man. You know, I mean, you can't do that with your kids now.
No.
You can, but it's not socially acceptable. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, now you're in trouble for that nonsense.
Yeah. So,
I was born in 76, so I'm only 3 years away from you. You're right. That's exactly how the parenting was. Quit coming in and out, close the door, go out, play. I'll yell for you when the lights come on.
Right.
Yeah, that's a perfect childhood, you know.
I was a little bit different than the rest of the kids in my neighborhood. Just put that politely.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
I would get beaten up just taking the trash out. You know what I mean? Because I was different than the other kids.
Sure. Yeah. I've been to Baltimore. I get it.
Yeah. So, you know, I remember, you know, and I was the only kid in the neighborhood that was wearing, like, I had these snow boots. I remember these snow boots that looked like Gene Simmons Kiss boots, man. And I would wear them. And the other kids didn't understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was growing up a little bit different. Then when we moved to Hendersonville, Tennessee, which I bought a house here now.
That's awesome.
That was in 6th grade, I guess. 6th, 7th grade. Kind of went back and forth after that.
So that's home to you?
What's home? Hendersonville?
Hendersonville, yeah. Is that home to you?
Yeah. That's just to jump up a little bit, probably high school age, 14, 15. I got kicked out of the county, had to move to Nashville.
Okay.
So I grew up kind of rough, man. It wasn't my parents' fault. I had the best parents in the world that would give me anything, all the things I needed, you know, no problems there. It was like something in my head. I did not have something I needed. I needed to find something. There was always something that I was after, and nobody could hold me back from getting it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I remember once when I was a kid, I was probably 14 years old. My mom said, we're going to cut your hair. I had really long hair. She was like, we're going to cut your hair. You know, go in the bathroom, take a shower, wet your hair. We're going to cut it right now. We're going to change everything about you. You're going to start getting out of trouble, whatever. Went to the bathroom, took a shower. I jumped out the bathroom window, dog. I didn't come back. I stayed gone. You know what I mean? Thank God I ran down the street. His name was William Taylor. And she knew where I was at. I mean, I was probably 4 miles down the street. I'd walk over there and just stay there for a month. I wouldn't call anybody or, you know.
Yeah.
Finally go back home and, you know, take an ass whoop, and then she'd kick me out of the house next day. No, I'm just playing.
See, you're a knucklehead like the rest of us, it sounds like.
So, okay, let me ask you this now. Explain, you know, because I know Nashville now, but growing up, man, it's so much different than it was. And I know you were Hendersonville, Nashville, but at the same time, you know, talk about the different, I mean, you know, how was Nashville back in the day?
I mean, how was it? It was a country, man. It was nothing like it is today. You got half California and half of New York moving down here. You know what I mean? Everybody's buying a house, trying to move away, trying to run away from their problems or whatever's going on right now. Who knows? Right. But back then it was a lot different. If you had long hair, you were driving the car, you'd get pulled over. I remember that. You know what I mean? And there was everything was defined on what type of music you listened to.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. I mean, you know, you had your freaks and jocks. That's what we called them around here. And they would always meet at softball fields and fight all the time. And, you know, we really didn't have gangs in Nashville, but it was kind of separated between if you were a jock or if you listened to heavy metal. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was kind of weird times, man.
Yeah.
Kind of like the movie The Outsiders.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, honestly,
without the Dapper Dan.
Without the Dapper Dan.
I think
Dapper Dan, man.
That's kind of how it was everywhere, though. I mean, everyone clicky. I mean, even today. But you're right. Like everyone would fill in little cliques, and if you fit in, great. If you didn't, then you had to throw hands sometimes, and it was. You're right. The 80s and the stuff like that was a weird time growing up. I think. I mean, completely different to now.
So not as many guns, you know. I mean, I remember some baseball bats. I remember, tire tools and stuff like that. But I mean, even the rednecks around here when I was a kid, that everybody had a shotgun in the window of their truck when they went to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you would take it out, show your shop teacher. Oh, let me see that. There's a brand new shotgun. You know what I mean? And nowadays, you definitely aren't going to do anything quite like that, man. But
Okay, so when did you? Let's say you're right around the same time you're thinking of right now. You said you go to your friend's house, stay gone. Where did you start liking wrestling?
Well, when I moved to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because I spoke differently, you know what I mean? I wasn't saying y'all and all that, you know what I'm saying? So they knew I was coming from a different place, man. So when I first moved here, it was on the weekends. You know, I had nothing to do, no friends or anything. So Saturday morning, man, Memphis Wrestling was coming on. So
oh, baby. Yeah.
So I was glued to it.
Yeah. Who was your favorite?
It was my favorite?
Yeah.
Oh, Bill Dundee, man.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah.
Bill Dundee. Actually, I went to years later when my daughter was first born. I took her. I think she was 3 years old. I took her to meet Jerry Lawler in a Walmart. He was doing the autograph signing. And I told him, I walked up to him and told him, I said, man, I used to watch you on TV all the time. He was, oh, really? Really? He's getting excited, getting his pen ready, thinking I'm going to buy an 8x10 or whatever. And I said, yeah, man, I used to love watching Bill Dundee whoop your ass. He got so pissed he was just moving me to the side, and there was nobody there. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about this guy standing in Walmart. Everybody's walking by. He's standing there in a pair of tights holding his crown, you know what I mean? And he's moved me to the side like there's a big line of people that are trying to come up, and I kept looking at him like, nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares about you, man.
That's hilarious. So, so you're a Bill Dundee man. So that kind of leads me into this. Now, in high school, you actually went to high school with a certain Dundee, correct?
Yeah, I went to school with Jamie, man.
Yeah.
So for about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a wild kid back then. I remember him going to come to school with his dad's boots on, the ones that had the star on the side.
Right, yeah.
Cowboy boot. They were like 3-4 sizes too big, and he'd be clumping down the hallway wearing these things, man. It's falling out of him. He thought he was the coolest thing in the world wearing them things at school, man. It's crazy. I remember once I was outside. Back then in the South, they would paddle you. Did you guys get paddled?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Because
I did.
I'm standing in the hallway, and I'm getting ready to get paddled, and I think they did that on purpose. That was kind of the psychological part of it. We're going to make him stand out here for 20 minutes now, and he's going to get his ass whooped. You know what I mean? So I'm standing there waiting, and here goes, I see some cops walk in to the office, and then some more cops walk in, and a dog. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden, here comes Jamie running down the hall going, cops, cops, cops. And this is during class. There's nobody else in the hallway. Cops, 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 candy cops. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's got a mouthful of weed. All he's doing is just eating pot, man. I mean, he's got triple on his face, on his shirt. He's just killing that stuff. I didn't see him for a while after that. I don't know if he got called or, just decided not to come to school for 2-3 weeks like he did. But
that's hilarious. Yeah.
Skip school, go to the big oak tree. You know what I mean? It was crazy, man. Crazy days, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. So around that time, are you playing any kind of sports at all, man?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So you're the like the opposite of that guy, right? You punch a jock.
Yeah, long hair, ripped jeans, Iron Maiden t-shirt. You know what I mean? I mean, that was since I was 10. That's the way I grew up, man.
Yeah, I mean, and you are real, and I'll say that a million times to people. When I know you and you meet you, you're real with people, and that's why I think a lot of people like you. But the reason I asked you is because, I mean, you knocking on 30 years of being an athlete. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you had athletics in you. You just weren't portraying them into team sports, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're playing street ball and elbowing each other in the throat. That's about as close as I got to actual sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, are you an Orioles man? Are you a Titans guy?
No. I always watch real sports like wrestling and roller derby.
Yeah. There you go.
Roller derby.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, okay. All right, so we're going to get a little heavy here, and because I know we're leading into your start of your career as a wrestler, but you kind of got off on a different path. Now, I've talked about my path and my problems with stuff. You knew me during that time. One of the things you said to me at that time was, dude, you just got to outgrow that shit. Like, you just can't do that. Grow up. You can't be a man and do that. You got to outgrow that shit. And even though I was continuing to screw up, that stuck with me all through the time that, I mean, it didn't necessarily kick in, but it was always with me. So even though you didn't like make a miraculous turn for me, you stuck with me, and that thought was always there of like, man, I need to grow up. This is time to grow up. I can't keep doing that stuff. You, however, because I was a mark for the business, I became a mark for the business, and that's what everybody did in the business is what I heard. You, however, started out, and then it saved you in a way. Tell us about that, man.
Yeah, like I said, when I was young, I was thinking I was older than what I was, or searching for something. You know what I mean? I don't know what that was, but never found it.
Right.
So that's about 13 years old. I kind of got twisted up with drugs and drinking and stuff. Ended up popping pills, smoking weed, drinking, snorting dope, led to smoking crack, led to this, led to that. You know what I mean? I mean, at a really, really, really young age, man. Yeah. And I ended up moving to Nashville when I got kicked out of Sumner County for threatening the principal of the same school I went to Jamie with, went to school with Jamie with. I threatened him, and then that got me kicked out of all Sumner County schools, man.
Wow.
So once I got kicked out of all Sumner County schools, my parents moved me to Nashville and said, we're going to move him away. What they did was they moved me back into the city again. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then here we go. Big city tricks, man. It's closer for me to walk from one side of town to the other, and I got mixed up with a bunch of bad dudes, man. And they're, I'm sitting there, I'm the young kid that they would use as a guinea pig or the scapegoat or whatever. Here, take this box over here, deliver this here, then we'll give you this. And I was really, man, just because I had pockets full of drugs and a little cash, I thought I was on top of the world.
Right.
Well, one, it just led from different charges and being arrested over and over and over and over again. I ended up going through 14 rehabs, man, before I was 19 years old. Got locked up. The last 2 years I was locked up and incarcerated. My last, I'll just say the last charges that I did get were pretty damn serious, man. I mean, put it this way, I never harmed anybody. Never harmed anybody, basically. I had some assault charges and stuff like that, but I was just a bad kid, man. Really. Yeah. And so I went down the road, man. I mean, I went AWOL from every one of those rehabs, since they decided they wanted to get me to talk or, seemed like they always wanted, let's get into your feelings and make you cry in front of everybody or something. I thought, man, this ain't for me, and I would leave. They'd say the doors are unlocked. You can leave if you want to. We're going to call the cops. It's like, call the cops. They know me real well. I don't care.
Right.
I'm out, so, all that led through a rough, coming up real rough, man.
Yeah.
So that just, I went through it early, a lot earlier than most people. So once I got out from that last incarceration, I was 19 years old, And I met my wife 2 months after. 2 months after that, she was pregnant. We had a kid. Living in West Nashville. I mean, I'm moving fast. Life's moving fast now, you know.
Yeah, right.
Got an apartment, you know, and the guy downstairs. I mean, I was fine. Maybe I'll smoke a little weed here and there or whatever, but the guy downstairs started selling dope, man. And I was like, dude, this ain't cool.
Right, right.
So he would have to come upstairs, break his stuff up, and he'd say, since you let me use your apartment, I'll give you all this free stuff, man. Free. You know what I'm saying? It was free. Right. Dude, that led my addiction through. I went through turmoil, dude. It was ridiculous. Yeah. All back over again, you know. And in the middle of the night, my wife was ready to leave me, basically. And I said, let's just leave. Let's leave. We won't tell anybody where we're going. Just leave. We left in the middle of the night, rented a little place in Madison. And that's when I found Madison Square Shopping Center over there. Where on the back, and there was wrestling, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to check this out. Well, one of the guys that I was running with in Nashville had the twin brothers, and I didn't know they were into wrestling, and I saw them there.
Yeah.
That's Lex and Lee Victory.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you if that was them. Twins. Yeah.
And I walked up to him and said, look, I want to wrestle, man. I've always wanted to. I said, you're full of shit. You ain't going to do nothing. Hot Rod Biggs, he used to run the same neighborhoods with me, too. And he found out that I was going to try to wrestle. And he said, you'll never make it. Never. You'll never make it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'll never do anything.
Yeah.
So I was dumb enough to hit my head on that rock. I just started doing it, man. You know, I met Gypsy Joe through the twins, and it was on from there.
So, yeah, that's exactly where I was leading you. About how old were you around that time?
24.
Right 24, yeah, okay. So you're looking around 24, and you, I mean, let's just say it. You get in touch with, I mean, if there are tough guys in the business, I mean, you met one of them. You know, Gypsy Joe, that guy could not only give you punishment, but he could absorb massive amounts of it. So talk about that. Talk about Gypsy Joe.
I don't really remember the first conversation that we had. I remember the first time we met, you know, to begin training or whatever. He didn't have a place to train me, basically. He said, meet me at Walmart in West Nashville. So I met him at Walmart. He said, all right, kid, I want you to jump as high as you can and fall on your back. And I said, what? He said, jump as high as you can, and I want you to fall on your back. And I said, right here? You know, this is asphalt in the middle of the parking lot, man, like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I had to jump as high as I can and fall on my back like 3-4 times. He goes, okay, kid, I guess I'll train you.
That's an old style of breaking.
Take a back, flat back on pavement.
Yeah, so the TJ Weatherby, the guy who had the wrestling show going on in the back of the strip mall, which wasn't far from my house at all. He started the class there with Tony Falk. They shared the ring together.
Yeah.
So I trained with both of them, basically.
So would you say your training is a little bit different than what they do at the PC now?
Hell yeah, man.
that was tough guy training is what that was, man.
Yeah, I used to get chopped, man. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. There's about 6 people in the class. I think 3 or 4 of us actually made it.
Give us some names here.
And Chris Baum was one of them.
Okay. Yeah. Longtime tag team partner, TJ.
Woody.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember Woody?
Yeah.
And that's all I can remember. Roxanne, do you remember her? She passed away, but
rest in peace for sure.
Yeah, Roxanne. She trained with us for a little bit, and the rest of them, I don't. The Victory Twins, of course, came in and helped me out. They came around and bumped for me and taught, basically bumped beside me, showing me how to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's about it that actually made it. The rest of them were just in and out, quickly in and out.
Yeah. You brought up Hot Rod Biggs earlier. How's Hot Rod doing, man? I miss that guy. He was a good dude. Yeah.
He's in and out of his problems as well. You know what I mean? But he's still Hot Rod. He's hanging in there.
Yeah, I love that guy. He put me over so much on Saw TV, y'all. Y'all don't even know. He didn't even have to do that. And he was always like, Jimmy Street is up to something tonight, and I love Hot Rod. I've got so much time for Hot Rod. All right, so you got into wrestling. So you're basically in 96 now. When was your first match, technically?
96. It was Dixon, Tennessee. They took the ropes down and put barbed wire up for my first match.
Oh, my God.
Right, so you did basically everything that people nowadays would never do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Your first bump was in a parking lot. Your first match was a barbed wire match. Your first title was what? A snapping turtle they put around your waist? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, basically.
What the hell?
Yo, I came in totally different than everybody else. I was trained by Gypsy Joe, dude.
Right.
I mean, I had to withhold his name, and everybody that really made it through his training, which I think there was only 2 or 3 of us, we pretty much held it up. Rick Reynolds. Rick Reynolds was one of the interns and became Damien.
Right.
And yeah, he was a hell of a tough guy too, man.
Big dude. Love Rick. Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't many of us that could actually carry that name, man.
Right.
Which I didn't get the opportunity to carry it as far as I wanted to, but I did exactly what I set out to do. I set out to make a name for myself here in the Mid-South. I set out to make a name for myself in Nashville, in this area, and I wanted to be like the Lawler, whatever, or the Dundee of Nashville, and I feel like I came close, you know what I mean? I mean, I still got my pictures up in tons of bars downtown, man, so...
Yeah, dude, you did for sure, man. I mean, as far as it goes, for sure, I always kind of compared you to I always considered you kind of like the American Badass Undertaker, but more like if you had Kevin Nash's personality, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that kind of hurt me too, man, because, I had the long hair and all that stuff. I always wore all black and halfway did it like an evil kind of thing. And a lot of times everybody said, well, you look like the Undertaker. You look like the Undertaker. And I hated that. Now, I feel like that may have held me back some, looking like somebody else. I don't think I look like somebody else, but some people would compare my look to his. You know what I mean?
Well, and I can see where you're coming from there. What I meant more was your vibe, especially in the locker room. Like you were looked on as a person that people could respect and look up to and talk to. That's kind of what I meant by it. I didn't realize that was people giving that comparison a lot. I didn't know that actually.
I don't think they would compare my work to that. I mean,
right.
Just the look. You know what I'm saying? It's just the long hair, just the look.
Yeah.
But
could be worse, brother. I mean, but I get what you're saying. I get what.
I about got in a fight at the bar one time. I walked in and said, "Oh, look, DDP." I looked at him. I want to kill you, dude. I'll take the Undertaker, but you call me DDP. I was ready to fight because he's not exactly an attractive man. You know what I'm saying?
H. Falkenberg. Yeah. Well, hey. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, even just sitting here talking with you and seeing the picture here on the Skype, you and I hope this comes across the right way, but you got that look. You're that tough guy look. You're the badass brawler look. You're not the golden haired baby face, kid that's going to come out and make the women swoon and all that stuff. You're the tough ass uncle that's down the street's going to come down and whip someone's ass because you're causing nonsense. I mean, that looks like that's the vibe that I would get. Just seeing you, sitting here with you, so is that something that you cultivated? Did you just go, well,
no,
this I was
like
just
this, man.
Yeah,
I didn't choose to look like this, bro. I was born like this.
That's what I mean. Like you spent your youth being that tough guy, being that badass. So you're like, well, I might as well do it in the ring too at this point. I mean, did you work a lot of heel, a lot of face? Did you work back and forth or?
I worked a lot of heel. I started out with a guy named Charmin Charles. Do you remember him?
Oh, I love Charmin Charles. Yeah, love him.
I started out with a guy named Charmin Charles who played like a pimp role, but he played for Kentucky Headhunters back in the day.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was covered in tattoos. He's already like an older man, and he's probably 25 years older than me at the time. Yeah. But he would go to the mall and go in these stores and buy these suits. I mean, straight bright colored pimp suits with the pimp hat and the alligator shoes. He spent so much money on these outfits, man. And he came up with this idea. And I think this is what really got me noticed in Nashville straight off the bat. It wasn't really my work ethic because I was green. I was straight out of training. Me and him hooked up. So he would, when I came out, as soon as I carried a sledgehammer, so as soon as I threw my sledgehammer up in the air, he was behind me, and he would throw a fireball, and it would make it look like it's coming out of my hammer. And as he was just throwing his hands up, just like, you know, we're here. You know what I mean? And a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Caught on to that, man. I mean, that was really catchy because nobody else was using fire at the time. You know, we were in these little venues where you can't, of course, use, you know, pyro or anything like that. So we were just kind of inventing a little cheap way of doing it. But I think that's what actually, you know, got my name to start catching on to people. It wasn't my work because I was just starting out, you know. But
you know, Charming Charles helped me a lot. You know, he helped me out a lot as far as managing. He was there. He had the book for Porter for a long time, just as I was leaving. And he always called me Sheiky. He said, Sheiky, we got to get out of here, brother. I said, all right, let's do it. He was great. I hope he's doing well too. Love to have him on the show. We'll talk after this, maybe get in touch with him or something, you know? So we've got cagematch.net shows that your first official recorded appearance is a tag team with Hot Rod Biggs in the USWO. Tell us about the USWO, because that was the first wrestling that I ever saw in Nashville.
I don't know where you dig this crap, man. I don't know where you get this stuff from. But you know, the internet's always been backwards on me. I've always been robbed by the internet. You know what I mean? I mean, before I was wrestling people like Chris Champion and stuff like that before Hot Rod.
Well, no, what I mean is this is what they're writing down as the first appearance that somebody took notice of, I guess. Okay, I'm saying, I know you wrestled way before this. What I mean is this is when it starts on your career, technically in this cagematch.net website. And so that's kind of what I was picking up on. But fill us in between that 96 to 2002 is kind of where I was going with that.
96 to 2002, that's when I was probably wrestling every night except for Monday. I think the only reason we weren't wrestling anywhere in the area on Monday was because Raw was on. Everybody's a damn mark, man.
Yeah.
I hate to admit that. And then Tuesday, everybody would try to do what they saw on Monday. I was wrestling in Shelbyville, Dixon, Tennessee, Gallatin, Madison. I mean, everywhere, it's everywhere close within an hour and a half, 2 hours from Nashville. And I was staying busy, man. And 2002. So I guess I started,
It puts you in a tag team with Hot Rod Biggs. But I guess what I meant is because the internet is not telling us enough. So you said there was some stuff you did with Chris Champion early on?
Yeah, that was in Columbia, Tennessee, real early. Started working a few matches with Chris Champion. He kind of took me under his wing, and he was the one that took me up to Evansville, Indiana, to get my first look up there. I stayed there for 5 years before I stopped going every week. You know what I mean? And I was up there for quite a long time. I was wrestling with people like Madman Pondo.
Oh yeah,
Pondo. Necro Butcher. Y'all know who Necro Butcher is?
Oh yeah, I've seen Necro work. Yeah.
And Too Tough Tony.
Yeah.
Corporal Robinson back in the day. Then Chase Stevens had a class. He started his class there. That's before he came to Nashville. He was working wrestling there too.
So exactly. That's kind of where I'm coming at. So there is such a budding amount of talent around this time. And you guys are really working the territory that honestly, you know, because USWA, if you weren't in USWA, you know, they call them the Outlaws, as Wolfie always calls them, the Outlaws and stuff. But that's really all you had to work because you're not working USWA. So technically they're not the Outlaws to you, you know, they're everything. So, okay. So if you were doing a loop, was it a loop that made sense, or was it a loop that took you way out of your way all the time?
It took me way out of the way all the time. It didn't make sense. Nothing was tied in, like Wolfie's loop when he was doing the Louisville, Nashville, Memphis, Texas, or whatever. That loop right there was all tied in together with their angles because they were all on television together and they were all working together all the time on all these shows. Now I was booked where I was booked and wrestled whoever they told me to. Sometimes I had a weekly storyline there in that town, where the next town we might have been friends. You know what I mean? It made no sense.
Right. Who was the first big name you worked with?
Oh, good question, man. Good question. Chris Champion is big name. Yeah.
Okay. And if y'all don't know who Chris Champion is, learn something. He was in the tag team, The New Breed. He was a local legend, but he was also a big time dude that really was amazing and incredible. And unfortunately, he is gone now. We lost him way too soon, but an incredible performer. So, okay. So you got that. Now you're working in USWO. Is this kind of when you picked up with Tony Falk as far as a finishing, or had you already trained a little bit with Tony as well?
No, I trained with Tony as well from day one.
Okay, so so you and TJ, where TJ and he were kind of working together, basically, when did you drop off from training with Gypsy?
I trained with Gypsy for 6 weeks, and then he kicked my ass for about a year and a half, where he just took me around to every town that he could think of, got me booked at every show he could think of, from Mississippi to Alabama, everywhere, and just kicked my ass every night, man.
Yeah.
That's how awesome. I learned.
And I legit kicked your ass. I'm assuming.
Because he was the hardcore guy. You know what I mean?
Real stiff,
He's beating me with sticks and chairs and tables and whatever, mops. I mean, whatever he could find. He's the type that would run me through the concession stand. Cans. I mean, just about anything. I remember he broke a chair over my head one time. The little swivel pieces on the side that allowed the chair to come up and down. He still was beating me in the back, and he kept saying, "Get up, kid, run, kid." And I was too dumb to freaking get up and run. And that shot, he hit me as hard as he could, and that little swivel part went in my back, right beside my spine. And that really, really, really tore me up. Yeah. But that didn't stop me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know his work, but like I said, I know Necro's. So
Necro was a beast.
Yeah, so I can imagine some of the stuff you went through if you worked Necro Butcher on a fairly regular. I've seen some of his stuff, and you're just like,
and every week,
God, he should be arrested.
Yeah, every week he was having those matches, and that was a hardcore town at the time. It was nothing but hardcore wrestling in Evansville, Indiana. So every Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night, you have to put yourself in a psychological state to go up there and beat yourself to death.
What organization was that there?
CCW.
Yeah.
CCW. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember a baby swimming pool with sand in it, and Corporal Robinson walking around getting everybody to hotbox a cigarette and get a big long cherry on the end of the cigarette. He would stand them all up and then body slam people in it.
Oh man!
I remember an aquarium in the middle of the ring. And I think Madman Pondo was in this match. I can't remember. Madman Pondo and Necro Butcher, I believe. It was Necro Butcher. And in the aquarium was a bunch of leeches, and they had both gotten colored and messed with barbed wire and glass and light tubes and everything else, and then shoved Necro Butcher's head in there with the leeches. I remember piranhas. I also remember Necro Butcher ate one of those leeches to get the crowd's reaction. He got real sick. It almost killed him, man.
Oh, gee. I thought watching him staple people was nuts, and then I never saw the piranha bit.
Yeah, the staple was easy, man. I remember I wrestled Chris Champion in that building too, and there was a wood table, old wooden tables laying around there. He brings this table out. And he goes from the top rope to the outside to the floor. Bam! I mean, it was like, I just got hit by a train, man, and the table didn't break. One more time, kid. Bam! And the table didn't break. So he said, one more time, we got to break this table. I just rolled out of the way on that third one. I let it sting a little bit. You know, so we ain't doing this again. Something else, man.
That's probably a good move right there, brother.
That's a non-gimmick table. So
yeah, that was a non-gimmick.
That's a hard-ass table.
Thick, old-school tables, man.
Yeah.
I have my first electric. Okay, this is the first one that I have ever heard of, and I remember digging pretty deep. I was in the first electrified cage match in the United States. They took like 8 car batteries and lit it up. So they would take barbed wire or some type of wire, put it all the way around the rope. So whenever you would hit the ropes to the cage, it would shoot sparks all over the cage.
Make the connection. Yeah. Okay.
So in the back, I'm like, man, I used to wet my hair. And I'm thinking, I can't wet my hair because of electricity. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take any chances with that, you know? And then I found out Chris Champion was going to be on the floor with a 2-liter bottle of kerosene or whatever, spitting fireballs the size of Volkswagens inside the cage. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, no, wet my hair. I ended up winning that. Later on in TNA, which I came up about the same time James Storm did, and we had our little battles and stuff. But James Storm in TNA had an electrified cage match, and he was going off like, yeah, this is the first one. The whole time I was thinking, man, no, it wasn't. No, that's
but it sounds good on TV.
Yeah. First one on TV. You take the credit for it.
Oh, that's son of a something or other.
Yeah, really.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know what? You talk about breaking the tables. I think it's a good time for us to take a quick break here. See what I did there? That's a segue, Jimmy. We're going to do that real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Hammerjack and find out, a little bit more about his career and what he's got going forward. Stick around.
If you're a pro wrestling fan, there's something for everyone at the Cheap Heat TV Podcast Network. From the Pro Wrestling Discussion Show, Cheap Heat TV Live, to the interview show, the Jackson Interaction Podcast with the king of all wrestling media, Gene Jackson, to the silliness of the Whitey Jenkins Show, and the brand new Zip, Xander's Irresistible Podcast with Charles Anders. You can check them all out and much more over at cheapheattvlive.com.
Hey, this is the one-man gold mine, the one-man enterprise of professional wrestling and all entertainment, Flynn Hendricks. And you better believe when I'm looking for a good podcast to listen to, I go to my own. I go to the I Know You Hear Me podcast hosted by me, Flynn Hendricks. That is such a fresh perspective for how you should look at life, too. I love that. And then when I'm feeling spooky, I go to my other podcast, Tales from the Haunt, where I want my head shoved inside a 15-pound silicone mask. More. I want to have a bucket of sweat coming off me at the end of the night than just Jeff.
Dogs don't lay eggs, Flynn.
I hate you so much. Talk to other scare actors about what it takes to get into the world of scare acting. So if you're curious about how people became professional wrestlers, actors, prioritized their mental health, became entrepreneurs, avoided burnout, or got into scare acting, you need to go check out I Know You Hear Me and Tales from the Haunt, available on all podcasting platforms. And I know you hear me.
All right, we're back, everyone, with Hammerjack here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and he was just talking about the delicate art that is professional wrestling with wildlife like leeches, and when we were off the air, we were talking about weed whackers and such. I know, Jimmy, you're going down the retrospective. That's why you're the professor, man. But I do need to ask one quick question. What can you think of the hardest bump you took?
The first one with Gypsy Joe. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the parking lot bump. Yeah, I mean, probably the one that hurt the most at this point. But what was the most insane, crazy bump you took, man?
I'm trying to think, man. I've taken some really sick bumps. That's hard, man. I mean, I might have been the first one with Gypsy Joe in that parking lot. I can't remember the guy's name. I remember coming off the top rope with some kind of a suplex or something, and the guy didn't hold me correctly, dumped me completely on my head. I finished the match and got in the back. I actually finished the match. I got in the back, and as I was kind of coming out of the fog, I didn't know how I got to the back, and I was like, what happened? What happened? How'd that go? How'd I get back here? And they were like, you don't remember? You had a decent match. It's just one bad bump. It's like that one bad bump. I don't remember nothing afterwards.
Wow. Oh, man.
I've had some nasty chair shots. Okay, here's one with Necro Butcher. Standing there getting heat with somebody on the side of the ring. I'm inside. Both of us are inside the ring. And I'm leaning over the rope, so my elbows are sticking out behind me. And he came up behind me, and I know he swung that chair as hard as he could. He caught both my elbows at the same time. But when I turned around, I could not bend my elbows down. And I'm sitting there looking at him like I'm begging, going, please. But it's not like I was begging. It's like I couldn't put my hands down. I could not control my elbows. I could not release, the bend or whatever for a few minutes after that. And then he wants to put me in the chair to chair. We're sitting knee to knee in the crowd.
Right.
And swapping baseball punches or hockey punches, whatever you want to call it, which means that was the real deal. We're just each other right in the crowd, just one after another after another. That was probably one of the toughest matches I had was with Necro Butcher. Man.
Yeah, that was one of his signature spots was the chair to chair, just trading shots. And how was that a signature spot?
It is, but
either him or another tough match I had, and I think the reason why I went to Pennsylvania and I wrestled a guy named Julio De Niro, and I think Julio De Niro thought I was just some dumb hillbilly or something like that, and I didn't know what I was doing, just coming there to wrestle Nashville style, and that's all I knew was hardcore or whatever. Well, I got in there and took the match to him. Charmin Charles was on the outside running his mouth getting heat, so I guess he thought he was stealing from the match or something, but he drop kicked him off the ring and into the crowd, and I had to spin him around and gave him a pretty good shot, and he gave me a pretty good shot, and it went back and forth until finally I guess we both realized nobody was going to give in, and they said, okay, you ready to work now? Let's finish it. But I had to take after my buddy. He's older. He's older than me. Yeah. He got drop kicked. I didn't know if he was dead, man. I mean, he nailed him. But I think I got a little bit of respect out of Julio that night.
I bet you did. I guarantee you did.
Last question I want to ask you, and I'll let Jimmy get back to his timeline. Speaking of that match there with Julio, has there been matches that have? I mean, I'm obviously there's been matches that's turned into a legit fist fight.
Not many on my part, though. Really.
Really? How does that work out when you get to the back?
You know what?
Sometimes it continues.
It can go south in the back.
It gets real good, legit in the back, right.
In the back, but I've always been the one that could talk to people reasonably, and I never had those issues too many times in the back. You know what I mean?
Good.
I talked my way out. Although I remember this guy. His name was Rock and Roll something. Anyway, he came in to the locker room. His girlfriend came in the locker room. A wife, she was there. I don't remember. She had a cast on her arm. And I was like, honey, what happened to your arm? And she goes, whispering, saying that me and him got into it. Me and Rock and Roll got in. And, he didn't mean to. And I was like, oh, really? So I was like, I want to wrestle him. That was for Tim Scruggs. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to wrestle him. And Tim knew the deal, man, and he said, okay, go ahead, do what you got to do. At the end of the match, I called Woody in to do a little run-in. Woody comes in and held his arm out there, and I held his arm, and Woody kicked it. The next week, he was wearing the blue cast, and she was wearing the pink one.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Hey, Hammerjack, Mark Anthony, we'll give him a shout out here. He had his own bounty hunting service, and you would go with him on those calls, right? He would ask you to go along.
No, Mark took me to get my license, and then. Man, I'm so terrible with names. There was another guy that lived in the Murfreesboro area, and he owned his own bounty hunting outfit or whatever. I went with him a few times, but I never got to the point where I was like carrying the gun and, being the badass or whatever. He would always say, look, I'm going to knock on the front door. I want you to go around back. Here's a stick. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. They're going to come running out the back when they see you knocking on the front.
Right.
You're the one that got him out of jail. They're going to recognize you. He said, yeah, man, it's really not as bad as you think. Just take them down and yell, I got him or something. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
They're fighting for everything too,
Yeah, we captured 2 or 3 people together, but nothing huge, man.
Yeah. Is he still doing that?
Mark owns a construction company. He's doing very well for himself.
That's good. Shout out to Mark. Absolutely. So we said we were kind of going down your path here. So, right around the time that we were, there was Kroll and Malenko, the Extreme Clown Posse at USWO, but you were also kind of working NWA main event there some, and then you were working USA Championship for Burt, with Style and Shane Eden. And then you're kind of in USWO as well. So basically you're doing the rounds in that area, essentially. That's what you had to do,
Yeah, that's but right around the time I started working for Burt too. We're talking about 2001. When did TNA start?
2002. 2000-ish. Yeah.
2001, rumors started flying around that TNA was coming in and they were painting the fairgrounds, which is the Mecca. They're painting the fairgrounds black.
Black, yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is something big is going to happen. They never allowed somebody to paint the entire interior of the fairgrounds black, for TV taping. So Burt Prentice knew who I was. I've worked a few matches for him, but as he was walking by one time, I shook his hand and he said, when are you going to work for a real company? And I squeezed his hand and I pulled him up to my chest as hard as I could. And we were chest to chest, eye to eye. I looked at him, I said, are you offering me a job, Burt? You know what I mean? See me after the show. See me after the show.
Yeah, he said to me, he always said to me, he was like, you're pretty good, but we got to get you a better gimmick. I was like, all right.
Burt was a good guy, man. Rest in peace, man. A lot of people misunderstood him. He had his problems. He had his demons for damn sure.
Sure.
But I had some good times working for him. Actually, he led me into working with Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor doing TV tapings with Burt with USWA Championship Wrestling.
That's awesome.
So nice. No, it wasn't awesome, man. I thought, man, then we're gonna fight.
For real? Well, explain.
Yeah, he wanted me to do this, do a particular finish, which I don't know what it was. Job out for Doug Gilbert, not really knowing that I was trying to protect my name, you know what I mean? Right. Wanted me to job out for him, so I was like, okay, I'll do it for this one time or whatever. Doug changes the finish in the middle. He goes for a power bomb, only he shot me on it. He was shooting the hold, and I didn't come up as fast as I should have, and it wasn't the most beautiful bump that he wanted for a finish, put it that way. When I got in the back, he thought he was going to come yell in my face, and that didn't work out too well, man. I don't care who you are, don't yell in my face, man.
Right. Yeah, that's just not. Yeah.
In the same era, that I was offered, and he was still booking at the time. They came up to me and said, "Look, would you like to they're searching for talent for some type of taping or something." So I showed up, and it turned out it was for the movie that Sting was doing called The Moment of Truth. He ended up selling about 2 million copies of that. 2 million copies of that. I was in that. Had a good part. And they asked me. They said, "We're looking for somebody to be the Red Rooster. That and nobody else can do it but you." And I was like, "Red Rooster?
Is that
do I look like the Red Rooster? Do you know this guy?" I'm talking to the director, which was some famous director, which I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he said, "Oh, you're right. That probably wouldn't work. Can you come up with a fictional character that would fit the 80s? And I said, "Man, I got an idea, man." He goes, "What's that?" I said, "Man, what about you call me Hammerjack?" And I came out with this sledgehammer.
Yeah, totally.
And I pitched it like a fictional character or something, that would just fit in the 80s. So if you watch the movie, it looks like I was, back in time. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
That is cool. So, okay. So we worked for Porter some, like I said, I worked for Porter and he brought me in. Burt was my first paying gig in the Nashville wrestling scene. I got to manage Dutch Mantell against Lawler. That was awesome. Dutch Iggy'd me like 33 times. I'm not joking, but talk about USWO some more, man. Cause I love Burt. Porter's Porter, but Man, Tony Falk, what a great dude. I can't say enough about him and his family and his promotion, you know.
If it wasn't for Tony and his promotion, you know, I would never have been able to get half the stuff that I did because I was getting my TV exposure through USWO. And like I said, he was one of the guys that trained me. So of course I was loyal. I was dedicated to whatever he needed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes he didn't think so, but I thought I was dedicated, loyal. You know.
Sure.
But you know, they LT Falk came up. I got to watch him grow up. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Now he's an awesome wrestler, man.
Oh,
you know, I remember him when he was just a little kid. Tony's Tony, man. What can I say about Tony? He taught me quite a bit, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the world of Tony. When I would see Tony at Saw, and you know, he and I worked together a lot because he was the figurehead, the commissioner or whatever, and he was always foiling my plans and all this stuff. And I would always talk to him in the back about the Texas, like world class and all that stuff. I would talk as much. If you saw me, I was either probably talking to you. Sometimes I would talk to Wolfie. Sometimes I would talk to Plunky, but most of the time I was talking to Tony Falk just because to me, you know, I was like, this dude, you know.
Yeah. You're talking to a legend, man. You're talking to, you know, one of the guys that's been there, done that, you know, that trains, you know, helped train Stone Cold Steve Austin and all those other guys like that. And then, you know, I mean, if there was a gimmick, he's done it. Right. If there was a person he's wrestled, if there was a company, he's been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
He never did get that house and car that he deserved, man.
No, he didn't. He never did. And I would love for him to still, I mean, there's so much there. I hope he's doing well too. I've got his phone number, but I don't think it's the right one, or he just doesn't want to answer for a Virginia area code or something. But
possibility.
Yeah. So obviously you're working these promotions. Then in 2005, I see that you worked with Tracy Smothers in CCW Evansville. Talk a little bit about that, man. Talk about
Tracy was a great guy. He was another one that kind of, I wouldn't say I didn't have the opportunity to run up and down the roads with him, you know, in the same vehicle, but I was on a lot of shows with him, became pretty good friends with him, you know, would call him periodically and check on him if I didn't happen to be crossing his path anywhere.
Yeah.
And he was a great guy, man. I mean, best sense of humor, man.
Totally. Tell a funny Tracy Smothers statement. Do you remember one that he would, because here's one that he said at NWA Saw. He looked out the curtain and he came back and he saw I was paying attention. He says, "Well, I believe if they riot, we can take them."
Oh, yeah.
Meaning it was a low house, obviously, for the listener there. Do you remember any of those that he might have said that you would have heard?
We were doing Saw wrestling for maybe 2 years, and then we got on this network called Air Force One, which would go to all the military bases and stuff like that. So all the military guys got to watch us wrestle for about 2 years, and he would always ask me, "How's Saw going? I know you're on TV, and they're picking up channels all over the country." And we're really picking up pace at that point.
Definitely.
And I said, "Yeah, man, it's all over the world. It's on Air Force One." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I think some other people in the country other than military bases can see us as well." I said, "Man, I'm a star everywhere else, but I'm not in the United States. I'm kind of frustrated." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, from what I hear," and I was joking with it when I said this. I said, "From what I hear, I'm such a star, I can't even walk the streets on Bangladesh." In Bangladesh. And then so he called me Bangladesh from then on out. "Hey, Bangladesh."
That's great. That's so great.
So I'm such a big star, I can't even walk the streets of Bangladesh.
He came up to me one night and said, "Hey, brother, I need a manager. Can you manage me?" And I was supposed to manage somebody. And I was like, they've already got me going on TV. In my mind, I'm thinking that. I go to Cersei first. I say, "Cersei, Smothers wants me to manage him. Can I not manage those guys and manage Smothers?" And he was like, "I'm sure that'll be fine." I was like, so glad that I did that. Because, you know, it may have been a storyline that I was in with the other two guys, but I'm still a mark. I was all about managing Smothers, you know. So.
Working USWO in the Stadium Inn, and then working for Bert on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Doing his TV as well, so that I was bouncing back and forth. Like I'd be on TV over here, and it was upsetting them that I was kind of working them back and forth to get on TV. But not too many people back then had the guts to do that. I didn't care. You know what I mean? I would do my best. And Bert would always tell me, you're like a little whore. All you want to do is just follow the next big thing. It's like, what are we supposed to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yes.
Yeah,
I'm after the next
your job.
big thing.
Yeah. I mean,
no,
I'm just going to sit here and be stagnant and eventually work at a Burger King. It's fine, man. Don't worry about it. It's good.
Yeah, right. What do you expect? So that led to TNA looking at me. They gave me a couple shots. I took some bumps for Jeff on the first or second show when they were still at Municipal Auditorium.
Yeah.
Took some bumps for Scott Hall, which was amazing. Yeah. And then that led to me, Vince Russo kind of took a liking to me, like my look. And he made me chief of security. And this was real quick. He made me chief of security. And how
many times did you hear him say bro?
Yeah. He's a bro. I love Vince, man. So he was trying to give me some opportunity because he liked my look.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, you're chief of security. Ken Shamrock is going to come in the locker room. And when Ken Shamrock comes back, this is an angle between him and Jeff. He said, I want you to say, look, we're not going to have any violence tonight in the back room. You know, in the back room, no violence. Right, Ken? Right, Ken? And what are you talking about? I'm chief of security. I need to make sure that we have no violence. Violence, save it for the ring.
Yeah.
Well, he was like, then Jeff comes in, says, all right, what do we got? We told him what we had. That was chief security, and I was going to say my part or whatever. And Jeff says, no, he can't talk. He can't talk. I don't know what it was Jeff had against me, man. But he said, no, he can't talk. He can't talk. I'm like,
yeah.
What do you mean? I said, no, I got this. No problem. If I can do anything, I can talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he says, he looks away. He won't even look at me. He says, but Vince, this guy looks too much like a wrestler. And I said, well, give me a real job then. And I think that was the worst thing I could have said because I was benched after that. I wasn't chief of security anymore. There was another guy that came in and they did the red shirt security team. And shortly after that. And it's funny that the guy looked kind of like me, but was about 3 inches taller and about 40 pounds on me. But he looked, Kevin Northcutt was his name.
Okay.
Kevin Northcutt. Yeah. And he was with Joey Legend. Was that his name? Joey Legend?
There was Joey Legend. Yep.
Yeah, Joey Legend.
Yeah.
They both kind of had the same look, you know. And I was like, man, that was my spot, man. That was my spot. Later on, I met Russo again, and I was working for TNA, but transporting, driving the truck for him, taking stuff here, there, whatever, up to Orlando and stuff. I was like transporting. Kurt Angle's little stage pop-up deal that he used to pop out of the stage.
Oh, yeah.
But I took that to Orlando, and I was just at the same time hoping to get a job out of it. Then I was driving the RV, and I had BG James, the Voodoo, what was the name of the tag team? VK?
Voodoo Ken Mafia.
Yeah, I had the whole tag team and the whole deal in the truck with Vince, and I'm driving them to do some type of a WWE invasion up in Knoxville. And when we get there, I get to help hand out all these little things. You know, we're totally invading, man. We're trying to run us off. We're giving out TNA shirts, hats, all this on video too. Shirts, hats, DVDs, all kinds of stuff, and then we go hide. The crowd goes in, and then I guess Paul, Triple H, and X-Pac, maybe some that they're all down in the ring, and then they come out and do their thing, and they're all, you know, popping for the TNA guys being there, and they kicked us all out of the building. So I was there for that. On the way back, Vince was like, "So you wrestle?" And I was like, "Yeah, you don't remember?" He's like, why haven't you been booked? I was like, you tell me. You know, you're the writer, write me in. You know, and he goes, well, I'm going to have to change that. And, of course, you know, nothing came out of that neither. But
I remember when they did that invasion because they showed that. And I remember the biggest thing that I remember is Road Dogg said, look at the mahi mahi. He kept saying mahi mahi about the catering. Anyway, well, that's cool, man. So around 2007 is when it starts to show up that you start working Saw Millersville. Obviously, we know, man, you know, honestly, if I had to pick one person in Nashville that I worked for to say was my favorite, was TJ Weatherby. I went to his funeral. I saw you there, of course. I said that there were some of the toughest guys in Nashville were shedding a tear over that dude. And that was about the truth, man. I think it shook a lot of us up, and especially losing somebody like TJ, because, TJ kind of would, pick the guys that he saw something in, but they didn't necessarily have to be the one that was, almost going to work for TNA or almost going to get in with the Fed or whatever. TJ saw something in somebody and he would really give you a chance.
Yeah, I miss TJ. He was one of my best friends, man.
Yeah.
That's friends with the whole family. I still am today. I watch his kids come up. I watch his kids wrestle. I watch them stay home. You know what I mean? I watch them have kids, and his kids, beautiful kids, man. I keep telling Cody, I guess he's not the oldest, the middle son, I guess. I keep telling him that I'm going to steal his son, put him on YouTube, make $1 million off of him, train him in the box and everything else, and just start filming it. And I haven't done it yet, but I think that this fall I'm going to get that kid in some kind of a training atmosphere and videotape this kid, good-looking kid, man. He's 10 years old, but I think he's got the look for YouTube, man. He's got the look that I can make a lot. He can make a lot of money off.
You carny. Yeah. So talk about TJ, man. Tell us, in that time you got to work at Saw. I saw you eventually you work with Raven for the first time. You work a feud with David Young,
Nick Dinsmore.
Yeah, Mark Anthony. You and Mark have a killer feud, and then you work some with Jeff Daniels. I
wrestled Too Tough Tony in that building. Anybody that was anybody, I would be the one to get the opportunity because, I kind of helped out with the promoting, putting the posters out and all that stuff, and doing a lot of internet work for him, posting on my Facebook and everywhere else I could post about it. And me and TJ were good friends, man. He knew I was taking care of him, and he definitely took care of me. So a lot of people didn't. Were like, why does he get to work? Why does he get a spot? Why does he get well, dude, I'm paying my dues and I'm earning it, and you should too, because that's what a wrestler does, is promote himself. Get out there and do some work, man.
Right.
Wait for somebody else to do it for you. Get out there and do some work, and that's what I was good at. That's what I'm good at today. I'm going to turn it around and utilize what I learned in the past to do something different today with this kid. I'm going to make $1 million off of him. I'm telling you.
Well, when you do, come back on the show with him.
Yeah, so don't forget your boys.
Yeah, don't forget your boys. So obviously you work all these guys, and then in 2011, quite possibly it was one of the promotions of the future, and I'm still surprised that it's not going on to this day. A little old company called Crossfire started up. So from the start, you had a good role there. What was your role with Crossfire?
I was partners.
Yeah.
I was partnering it with Marcus Pistorius. Marcus came to me and said, hey, I'm going to run a show. And I said, well, you want to run a big show that means something, or do you want to run just a little show like everybody else? And he was like, no, I want to run something that means something. I want to draw a lot of people. I want to sell the fairgrounds out. I said, no problem.
Yeah.
But he was from Philadelphia. No, Pennsylvania. He was from, Philadelphia. But he didn't know the history or anything like that. You know what I mean? There were, at the time, there were legend shows just starting to pop. And this is the very beginning of the legend shows. So I said, what you need to do is a tribute to the fairgrounds. And everything I told him to do, he did. And then he put his touch on it, and he promoted it, and we made it. We made it work, man. He said, what do you think we need to do to promote it? And it's like, you need thousands of flyers, hand size, that you can put in their hand, not in the convenience store as they're walking out the door. I hope to God somebody notices this poster. You know what I mean? You need something that you can put, a magnet to and stick it on the refrigerator so every day they can see it. You need something that you can, that they carry around, and maybe they think it's an actual ticket, or maybe they think they get a discount for bringing this. You know what I mean? Like TNA did. Yeah. So and that worked. Our first show sold out. Second show sold out. Third show sold out. We were clocking it. I got to work some really, really good talent out there. I worked Rhino there. I worked Raven there. In front of sold out crowds, man.
Oh yeah.
Like 1,000 people plus. We were pushing the bounds with the codes and all that But once Codes walked in, I would be the one to go cool them off. Like Codes just walked in. I'd walk up and be like, can I get you a chair? You want a drink? You want a hot dog?
It's hard to yell when they're sitting there watching the show. That's right.
Yeah, I make sure they were watching the show, man. And it worked. You know, most of the times they'd say, all right, looks like everything's under control. Thanks for showing up. Come back next time, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Crossfire was so cool. First of all, it started out kind of as like a tribute show, but it really morphed into something that was becoming its own thing. You know, there were 3D cameras that he used that are now being used currently that he started out using. And a lot of people think, well, that came from this. Now, I don't know. Did somebody pick up on that from Crossfire? No, what I'm saying is that he was that far ahead of the thing.
He wanted to film it and use the same film that the movie, you know, movies were filmed. Not a Super 8 camera on the side. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was probably filmed almost on the same level as Vince, which was very, very, very expensive, man.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
I mean? I'm sure. It was very expensive. And we got the eyes of Paramount Pictures through that. So Paramount stepped in and they were talking contracts and throwing number signs around, just kicking around some number signs.
Yeah.
Well, then he decides to come up with this idea that he wants to hurry up and get all these guys on paper.
Yeah.
And it was like way too soon. He's having people sign these contracts. They don't know what they're signing for, man. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You know?
Right.
I mean, we're still selling out shows. We got Bret Hart. We got, you know, Mick Foley coming in. We got, you know, you name it. They worked there. Rikishi.
Piper. Roddy Piper.
Yeah, we had Piper come. That was amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
We had anybody and everybody that was either coming in and signing autographs or, you know, the Rockstad that were selling this book and stuff like that. And just, man.
You did work Too Tough Tony. You worked Rhino. Now you worked a buddy of mine as well, who's Kazarni, aka Sin Bodhi. Talk about him, man.
Great guy, Sin Bodhi. Well, I remember when he was just one of the Canadians that was coming down here trying to get a spot on TNA, and he was working for Bert, you know, and doing some stuff. And then he became the evil gimmick with Wolfie.
Right.
And,
I know.
And TNA.
New Church. Yeah.
Dude, he is a great guy, man. And I'm not talking wrestling. Outside of wrestling, man,
he's great.
Great.
Million miles an hour. You have to really pay attention because he will bypass a conversation quickly, you know.
His creativity is way beyond anybody else's, man. I mean, you know, he does his own little carny show in Vegas.
Freak show. Yeah. We're gonna have him on to talk to the Plastic Sheik, our action figure expert, sometime because he's doing his own LJNs, you know, he does all those custom action figures and stuff.
You need to tell him to shoot all your fans links so they can watch a couple of his carny shows, man, because they're
we would love to.
Heck yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your time with Kevin Sullivan or anything like that? Or
Kevin Sullivan was about the same time with it was the same time as Crossfire. It wasn't Crossfire Wrestling. But they were doing a big angle there was somebody that was trying to take me out, so they sent Rhino, they sent Raven, they sent, you know, Sin Bodhi. They sent a bunch of these people, and I was barely beating them by the skin of my teeth. You know what I mean? And it looked like somebody was sending all these people, and then it turned out that it was Kevin Sullivan, the devil.
That's so awesome.
The devil himself. Yeah.
I tell ya.
Good dude, man. Good,
How was it working him, man? I mean,
it felt like I was working Gypsy Joe, dude. It felt like I was working Gypsy Joe all over again, man.
Yeah.
And it was nostalgic, dude. It was probably one of the highlights of my career for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I took some bumps for him over this guardrail and on the concrete. He was like, oh, I could hear him. You know what I mean? When I was taking these bumps and throw myself up on the hood of people's cars and stuff because we were having a fight outside. He's like, oh, brother, no, oh. It sounded like he was scared that one of us were going to get hurt. You know what I mean? Because he was an older guy then.
Right.
And he didn't want to push it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I was ready to push it. I was pushing it for him, man. I was like,
that's a hell of a wild bump when the guy that not bumping goes, whoa, okay, now bring it back a notch.
I took myself. There was a guardrail right in front of the the front door of the building. As we were going outside, I walked over to that guardrail, and he gave me an uppercut, and I shot myself up and over, took a huge bump up concrete, man. He's
Yeah. Okay. So eventually, unfortunately, something, because, Marcus got a little in too deep financially. I think he had even sold his car to keep the company afloat. That's
I heard he sold a lot of stuff. But Marcus was a good guy in the beginning. At the end, when Paramount decided they wanted to step in and see if they could do something for us, he got a little excited. He got overexcited, I should say. Sure. And he spent $60,000 on a light system, man.
Wow.
This is our last show. The last show we had was $60,000 in lights, man. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you doing this, man? Your head is not where it should be. And he said, this is what they want to see. Like, no, this is not what they want to see. This is not what brought us to the dance. This is not what got their attention. Why do you have to go? We're not WWE in this little small building that holds 1,000 people. You know what I mean? 1,100 people is max. It's like, why do you think TNA didn't even do this? But TNA made their mark at the top of the building. And they wrote TNA in the rafters way up in the building. And he rented the lift, had the lift for the lights, and he went up and had me draw a circle around, cross it out, and I swear to God, that was a demise. I should have left that up. I think we shouldn't have messed with that. And then they took the lights down from the Goulas days, which was the old square boxing light, that used to hang over a boxing ring. It was just a square classic light. When they took that down, I think that's when it cursed everybody, man.
Yeah, because that was probably from the very beginning, because a lot of people don't know this. Well, they do if they know, but that place was built for pro wrestling. That's what that place was built for, so even if they don't know that it was built for wrestling, that place is wrestling. And that's also proof that even back then people wanted an alternative to sports entertainment.
Right.
Yeah.
They
wanted that old school ring lit, crowd dark, smoky, stinky, grungy,
beer all over the floor,
shitty arena to watch pro wrestling in. There's something to it. I've seen pro wrestling in a little high school gymnasium. I've seen it in a grand arena. It's a completely different. One of the best shows I ever went to was an ROH show in Dayton, Ohio, where I was right against the ring arguing with Claudio Castagnoli about something and in Homicide and arguing with these guys. And it's like, that's the best shows where you're right there and you can feel everything. As a fan, as a mark, that's what I love. I can only imagine it's the same for the folks in the ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Would you rather work for 1,000 people that are on top of you and you can feel it, or 500,000 people that you can barely hear? You want the paycheck from the 500,000, obviously. But.
I haven't wrestled in front of the WWE universe like that. You know what I mean? But for me, I wonder if it's like the rock and roll atmosphere where it is better to work around 1,500, than it is 15,000. I'm sure it is.
I've always heard in front of 500, you work way more snug, of course, too, because there's less people to absorb you,
Right.
I know you probably were a snug working guy anyway, but
a lot of people said I was, but I didn't try to be all the time.
Yeah. All the time.
Only when someone was a little bit of an a-hole with their girlfriend. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
that makes. Right. But that just makes you a hero.
But I was as stiff as you were, man. If you were stiff with me, I was definitely stiff with you. And a lot of guys didn't realize that they couldn't pull their punches as well as they should have. So I didn't pull mine, and they blamed it on me. You're stiff. It's like,
he's hitting me.
You were setting the pace. You didn't realize it.
One of the things about your career is you have had a very good amount of hardcore, but you are also a tag team guy. And, one of the things about this show that I think we really push is we love the idea of tag team wrestling. We actually celebrate
Me too. It's easier to entertain.
Yeah. I've heard Eric Bischoff say, why pay 4 guys to entertain when I can pay 2 guys? So that's a lot of the reason he didn't like tag team wrestling. Vince just tried to kill it. But, you had some great tag teams, not, with Hot Rod Biggs, with all these guys. But honestly, in Saw, when you and I were working together, you had some of the best, like the story with Mayhem and Gator McAllister, how he came in as a look-alike. And it was amazing because if you think about on that level, pulling a look-alike gimmick is not easy. You know what I'm saying? We would pack it out in there and not saying that.
Do you think he looked like me?
No, I don't, but it pulled it off, So
yeah, maybe uglier version of me.
Come on, Joe's not that bad.
He was the Wish.com version of you, sir. That's all.
The storyline worked, and that's all I can say. That was when you saw me at the Italian restaurant, and you were like, "Are you out of the business, man?" And I'm like, "I'm just paying the bills right now." And you're like, "Well, come back." And I said, "Okay." And you had just done that gimmick, and then you tagged.
Which Italian restaurant?
Coco's out on Charlotte.
Because I'm Sicilian, right? And that means a lot to me, man, when we go get some real food like that.
Yeah, it's a real deal. Yeah, I know you are. So now you were teaming with Kevin Weatherby and Tim Jernigan was one of my favorite tag teams, the Monsters of Mayhem. Dude, y'all were killer, man. And what's up with Tim, man? Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. He just fell off. He wouldn't answer anybody that had to do with the wrestling business. Through Facebook, through phone, wouldn't talk to you if he ran into you in the gym. You know what I mean? I think it might have been an issue with his girlfriend or something like that. I don't really know, so I don't want to insinuate anything. But he was a good friend for a long time, man, and fit the part. We carried a lot of belts in a lot of different organizations, man, and held belts, 3-4 belts at a time. We were rocking and rolling, man. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's gone. That's when me and Gator hooked up. And Gator kind of took his place. So that all happened in Saw Wrestling. We had some good angles in there. We had some cage matches. Then we turned against each other, and they wanted to make me the big baby face, which I didn't think was going to work.
But it did.
Yeah.
Why do they always have to break up tag teams? They always have to have one person versus the other person. I carried you. You didn't do this. Why do they always have to do that?
It's a cheap. It's a cheap way for a storyline. You know what I mean? It's for somebody who has no creativity.
Right.
Goes back to the same exact storyline that they seen work back in 1986 with one tag team work one time, and they think I can do this. And it never works out.
Like Jimmy said, we're tag team fans. So, and I know what you're talking about back in the 80s, but it's like, come on, why? Just stop doing it. Just make a tag team. Like, we're big fans of FTR's work right now. Right. They're a tag team. They've bought into it. That's what they're going to do. That's what they want to do. You can just tell such a difference when both people have bought into being a team compared to, I'm a singles guy, but I'm saddled with Jim over here, and I got to do this over here with Steve, and it's just such a difference. You're right though.
Yeah, the best times I can remember watching wrestling when I was growing up was watching Ming and the Barbarian tag team.
Oh yeah, Face of Fear.
It's the greatest tag team ever in my eyes.
They were great, man.
Love Rock and Roll Express. Wouldn't take nothing from Ricky. Ricky's a great guy, but come on, man. Right. You had Ming and you had the Barbarian. You know what I mean?
Two big, scary looking fellas.
Monsters. I know you had some issues with your last match. You had an injury. Talk a little bit about that, man. What led up to that?
Wrestling Trey Stevens in the bar.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea at all.
Yeah, it didn't work out well. We started off having good stiff matches as usual. You know what I mean? Trace is a great guy, hell of a hand, hell of a worker, man.
Sure. Yeah.
Workhorse. But I stepped to him. It's kind of foggy, man. I stepped to him for one punch, like a baseball punch. You know what I mean? Gonna swing it like I'm throwing a baseball. And he was in the corner, and I remember my left knee, as I was leading out, my knee gave, and my face slid all the way down his chest. I was like, oh, shit. My knee gave out, and he's holding me up, and I'm making it look like I'm trying to struggle with him, but when really he's holding me up. And I said, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done, brother. I'm done. And he said, we got 20 minutes. Yeah. And I said, we ain't got shit. I can't do this, man.
You might got 20 minutes.
This match is done, bro. And he's like, no, you can do it. You can do it. And we kind of went to the mat, did a lot of mat work, man. And did a lot of stiff work because my head was gone, man. You know, I was totally out of it. But I ended up tearing my meniscus and my ACL at the same time, and I had a major surgery after that. It was a $40,000 surgery, man. And I watch people today, and they get a surgery today, and they're like, "Oh, I have my meniscus done," and they're walking around. So where's your straight brace? Where's
right.
You just had one a week ago? My surgery was nothing like that. So I think mine was a little bit more extensive, and I just don't remember. You know what I mean? Sure. Because I was probably enjoying the pain meds or something. I don't know, but
sure.
Something was going on there. But my knee was as big as a football, and I spent a lot of time in bed, man. I watched the entire series, you know, on Netflix.
Yeah.
Ridiculous how much time I spent in bed. The next day, I think I was doing physical therapy the next day, and I couldn't bend it all. They're like, "They'll try to force it. I know there's a lot of swelling." I'm like, "Lady, you're crazy. I'm about to punch it as hard as I can, right?"
Man, you know what a chair shot feels like. You're out.
Yeah.
I got these crutches here.
Yeah, exactly. Here, it's crutch shot. All right, let's take another quick break, real quick. When we come back, we're gonna talk with Hammerjack again, find out, how the knee's doing, and I guess I get to ask. I've asked a few questions, but I'll get to do the Dan Ask bit when we come back here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Welcome to the Monster Movie Stomp Down with me, Stompy, and my brother Frank.
Hi, I'm Frank.
Join us, Sludge, Mark, and Ruben 3 times a month as we review monster movies from around the world.
And don't forget about the monthly contest and trivia.
Not only that, Frank, but you will find extra content like the Underdogs, Monster Mash Wednesdays, and the Friday Night Fights, each week exclusively on our Facebook and Instagram.
So please join us at the Monster Movie Stomp Down.
Your one-stop chomp for monster movie reviews, news, interview, trivia, laughs, and of course me, Stompy.
And Frank.
All right, welcome back here to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. We've got Hammerjack with us, and it's been an awesome conversation. First, I wonder if Hammerjack will take the title. We do a little bit here.
What do you mean, wonder if I'll take the title?
Well, settle down.
Who's holding the title? Who's holding the title first? What's the title? Tell me.
Right now, it's a musician.
Yeah, non-worker.
I'll break his fingers. What does he play?
Yeah, he's a guitarist, so he'll be in trouble.
You are too, right?
I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
You're a bassist, more specifically, right, Jimmy?
Right, so definitely don't break my fingers.
Yeah,
please.
don't. Because, I mean, if you look at him, he can't get by on his looks. He's got to get by on something else.
Right. Dan told me how tough it is to go by on your looks. So
yeah, that's right. That's why I plunge toilets for a living. All right, so now I get to do my favorite part. The reason I agreed to do this show in the first place, and that's I get to ask a pro wrestler question.
For the title?
Well, no. You get no. Okay, so I should explain myself. The title is whoever is the guest on the show that has the greatest amount of downloads gets to carry the download title.
I'm just saying, bro. I got a big family.
We should just name it that. Well, that's fine. We like listeners. So go ahead.
We got some hammerheads out there. We got some hammerheads left.
I know. I can't wait. We're gonna
treat it like the old school. You sell some tickets, we'll get you on the show, kid. All right. So we're going to see if you might be able to take the title on this episode, but I get to ask a question first. And my question is, how did you come up with the name Hammerjack? Because I'm always interested in the names. And second of all, if there was anyone, past, present, or future, well, I guess we can't say future, but past or present, that you would want to work still, who would it be?
Oh, wow. That last question. Let's come back to that. So the first one, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. So I grew up watching, listening to heavy metal. You know what I mean? Just a big rock and roll head. So there was a club there that anybody in the music business would play at this particular club, and they would put their stickers on the back of the bumpers. So all over Baltimore, Glen Burnie, Annapolis, I mean, all throughout Maryland, actually, you would see the sticker for this particular club, and it was called Hammerjacks. That's
nice. I dig that. I actually, when Jimmy goes, we're going to interview my buddy Hammerjack, I went, yep. I don't need to know nothing else. The name Hammerjack, yep. Please. Cool. All right. So I'll ask you another softball real quick while you're thinking of the other question. Who's your favorite metal band?
Slayer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Slayer. Iron Maiden. You know what? I could go on.
Yeah. That's right. Jimmy knows I'm a big Motorhead fan.
I love Guar. Do you listen to Guar at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Virginia band.
One of my favorites is Motorhead. I'm a huge Motorhead fan.
Legendary.
So, yeah. I'm with
Black
you.
Sabbath started the doll, man.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you put on Spotify, Ozzy, and you're done. It's just.
I swear I heard them say on the radio today, this is a new release by Ozzy Osbourne. And I was like, what? And then I got busy doing something that I didn't listen to it. Which I'm glad you reminded me.
It's true, though.
Check it out.
Coming out. Or out.
New music coming out from Ozzy. And then also, if you get a chance to jump on YouTube and see, he did a surprise closing bit for the opening ceremonies of the Commonwealth Games in England. Him and Tony Iommi. Him and Tony Iommi played, I don't remember what song it was now, but yeah, they played. So, okay, now I'm going to put you back on the hook. Who do you want to work again? Who would you, if we had the time machine and everything else, who would you want to work past and present?
That's funny. I don't know, man. I mean, I've wrestled anybody that I came up with. You know what I mean? Raven, Rhino, Sandman, Eugene, Boogie Woogie Man, Bill Dundee a bunch of times.
Nice.
Bobby Eaton, got to wrestle Bobby Eaton with tag team Fast and Furious with Shane Eaton. And that was at USWO. I actually got in the ring with Bobby Eaton. That was really, really, really cool. Harris Brothers.
Ron and Don. Yep.
Jack Stane was a good one.
Thinking of the Harris Brothers, would you have liked to have worked Bruiser?
Yes, I would have loved to have worked Bruiser Brother. I think, sounds weird, I was a big Rikishi mark, man. So I think Rikishi probably is one of which I became kind of friends with him, man. You know, did a few shows, carried him around Nashville and stuff whenever he came in town. But I never got to get in the ring with him. Damn. I guess that's it, Rikishi.
Okay, man. Yeah. Rikishi is
a great one.
A big man, knows how to use his size. He knew exactly what he could do, how to do it, what to do to maximize.
Hey, don't get it up. It's not that I want his ass in my face. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, we don't.
I started thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute, I'm asking for ass in my face. You know,
no. The Samoan SWAT team.
Yeah. Well, that was some stiff stuff back then. You know.
Yeah, that's a different kind.
I'd rather have him stiff chop you than his ass in your face, though.
Yeah, than stiff ass me. Yeah.
Yeah, stiff chop or stiff ass.
Bruiser Brody. I think, Bruiser Brody would be another one too. I'm glad you said that. And of course Ming and the Barbarian, which I got to meet the Barbarian a couple times, but he was just running the show up around East Tennessee. You know what I mean? Never got the opportunity to work that show though, man. For some
anyone current you're a big fan of?
Coming up or on TV?
on TV now.
Roman Reigns. I love Roman Reigns, man. I mean, you know, I don't get the opportunity to watch as much as I'm a Logan Paul fan, dude.
Oh man, he is amazing in the ring. What he's done, I agree 100%.
I followed his career since his first YouTube video. You know what I mean? I know he was on the platform before that, which I can't remember. It was kind of like the TikTok back then. I can't remember what the
Vine.
Yeah, he was on Vine, which I got to see a bunch of his stuff on YouTube. But first video on YouTube, I never missed one. I never missed one of the impulsive podcast and stuff, man. I mean, I really followed that kid's career. He's great. And to get in the ring and box legends, you know what I mean, then turn around and wrestle too and take.
I know.
Dude,
there's a chance.
Alone, man. You know,
he looks like good.
This kid he's got to be on the spectrum somewhere, man. He just doesn't give a shit, man. He
might.
He's just gonna do it.
He might, man.
he said he before his first match in WWE, he didn't train at all. Do you believe that?
No, he trained. He trained. Yes, bro. He was training. Yeah. I think the Miz was actually training him, man. I mean,
I was like, there's no way he didn't work and didn't train at all. I mean, like, he's a natural athlete, but you had to train a little
about
bit.
6 months before his match, with no mention of it on the show, he had the Miz on the podcast, man. So that had to take some.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
You know, theoretically, you could have a world champion Logan and a boxing world champion Jake. I mean, I'm not saying Jake's ready for that yet.
Jake was supposed to box that kid. He was supposed to box on the 27th or whatever. He lost millions of dollars, man, because he's running that boxing fed and had to pull out of that match. Well, that guy didn't make weight, is what it was. He was trying to come down from 215 to 200, which for his height and his build, coming down 15 pounds in such a short time, man, it wouldn't have been a healthy trip for him on the way down.
Yeah, he would have taken an ass whooping at that point.
He's going to take an ass whooping anyway. Man, that is Jake Paul, man. He's got Disney on his head so hard, man.
I think there's a big future for Jake for sure. So, yeah. But anyway, I think that's Dan Asks for the evening.
Yeah, I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
So what's your future plans, Hammer?
My future plan is to take this belt right here tonight. Take the belt.
Yeah.
Nice.
Take the championship and walk away with it. We'll see what happens. So all you Hammerheads, make sure you download it.
Yeah. Where can they find you on social media, brother?
Anywhere and everywhere. Kenny Gotti on Facebook. The Real Hammerjack on Instagram. What's so damn funny, man? You're worse than
you said it's a work. You said it's a funny. It's a work.
It's not funny. I don't make fun of your name, Jimmy Street. What, do you walk the street? Is that how you make your money? Is that what you sell ads on the street?
I sell ads on the street.
I don't think he'd make much.
Dan, nobody even pulled your chain, dude.
Look, Hammer's taking the show over.
Wait a minute here. This is our show. We got a guest. Jimmy, you can't have any more guests.
I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand. I'm the champion now. You had me on the show, so now I'm the champion. You understand?
Okay, but we run the promotion. It's
Me and you need to have a match. I'll beat your eyes out and set them on the front lady's lap.
You won't do that.
I'll set them on the lap with the fattest chick on the front row. I'll set your eyeballs on her lap so you can see me pin your lifeless body.
You're not going to do that because I would never show up for that. Are you crazy?
Oh man, Jared's just laughing at us because I guess Jimmy and I are both going to take an ass whooping now.
Apparently, I've got to get my ass.
No, just you, Dan. You been running your mouth the whole show, man.
So now it's just me going to get my ass whooped.
Definitely.
Oh, okay. So I got to. What do I got to drive down to? What is it? Elk Snout, Tennessee to wrestle you now somewhere down there?
No, stop before you get to Elk Snout. Yeah. Stop in Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. Okay. Well, see, I was born and raised in Kentucky. We have a little bit more culture there than we do down in Tennessee.
Oh, where are you? Where are you?
My Lord.
I was born and raised in Kentucky, so yeah. So at least we don't volunteer our women out like in Tennessee. Never mind. We won't go there. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I've always been considered the smarter of the two Street brothers, so
yeah, Dr. Street, get out of here, you.
I can see that.
He's the better looking too. Look at him.
I mean, come on.
Well, Dan, before you make that trip to Nashville, I want you to kiss your kids, smack your mom, and your big fat ass wife. Give her a big old hug, because you ain't coming back the same man. I promise you that. You will not come back the same man.
Oh my God!
Hey, I love you, brother. Thanks for coming on.
I realize there's a belt to hold. I'm going to take it. You just got me hyped, man.
All right, Jimmy, get this jabron out of you.
Jabron.
Do your thing, Jimmy.
Now he's going to call us a singing jabron, man. Jesus Christ.
Man.
Forget the
racist shovel out, man.
Wow.
Hammer's turning it up now. Thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate you, man, for coming on our show.
It was good. I hope to come back and defend my title.
You will.
He has a copy of Chris Michael's book. Send it to me. Hit me up on Facebook. Send me that book. I got to read it.
Okay, I will.
I'll have somebody read it to me. I'll
Xerox it. Yeah, I'll Xerox it to you. That's good. So.
Yeah, see, he can't read. Come on.
I want to see Chris Michaels do an audible for his book. That would be great.
I do too. That needs to happen, by the way. And I can't imagine what it would be, but I can't wait to hear it. So, it
would be his wife whispering the words in his ear because he can't read, man. He can't read.
Yeah, I mean, love him.
Love you, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, love you, Chris. And I love you, Hammerjack. You better come back.
I love all except Dan. Except for Dan.
Yeah, that's all right. We know how much you want Rikishi's ass in your face. You don't have to worry.
All right.
All right, everyone. Jared, now you pipe down over there, Doc. All right, so everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for listening to the Professor Jimmy Street, the Plastic Sheik, Jared Street, myself, Dangerous Dan Colley, and
You Can't Turn Your Back.
And Hammerjack. That's right, folks.
Send me my check.
All right, it's on the way. See you, buddy. He's a nut, man. All right, guys, check us out at GMBMPW all over the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that. We are also part of a network called the Give Me Back My Podcast Network. It's got action, horror, monsters, good beer, wrestling, and the like.
And I know you can hear me.
I just say this. I know you hear me. Tales from the Haunt. And you got us, the best 6-man tag team podcast you'll ever find in this whole world. Thanks again for listening. Fight forever.
With a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment in my life.
This has been a James Rock Street production.